What is up, everybody? I hope this video finds you guys doing well. I'm going to be doing something a little bit different today. I'm going to try a more long form video. Someone had requested it in the comments, and I've thought about doing it a little bit. So if you guys hate this format today, just let me know. I'll switch it up and go back to the normal. But again, just wanted to give it a shot. Today I want to discuss crypto regulation, and I figured this was the perfect video to start this long form format with, because this discussion can go on, and it's super subjective. And what I mean by that is how you feel about crypto regulation, I feel like almost directly correlates with your experience in crypto thus far. Like if you have gone about crypto making tons and tons of money and everything has been fantastic for you, you're going to want regulation to stay as far away from it as you can. Now, if you just started and you're getting rugged left and right on projects, you probably want to see crypto regulation, right? So these are different things, and I think a lot of people, again, it's just going to come down to your experience in crypto this far to depend on how you feel about crypto regulation. Now, what kind of spurred this for me was that we just saw that Canada came out with a new crypto law or legislation, and I'm going to read through it, and then I'm going to talk about it a little bit, because there's a couple things that I feel like were really missed here. So it says, if you live in an applicable province, net buy limits affect the net amount of crypto you can buy to $30,000. So outside of the ones they have set, you can only buy $30,000 worth of crypto in a year. These limits reset annually. After 12 months have passed, your limit will reset. There are 4 unrestricted cryptocurrencies that do not count towards your limit. That means you can buy and sell as much of these cryptocurrencies as you wish. These 4 are Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Bitcoin Cash. When you buy restricted cryptocurrencies, you use some of your limits. Selling restricted cryptocurrencies will add space back to your limit to a maximum of $30,000. So if you buy 30 grand of Dogecoin and then you sell 15 grand, that 15 grand opens back up. You can now go and buy 15 grand more of Dogecoin, but you can never hold more than 30,000 worth of your own Dogecoin at a time. That doesn't mean the investment. If the investment goes up, I don't think that counts. Now, it's not outlined very clearly here, so I'm not sure on how they calculate the P&L. But just as an FYI, like, if it goes down in value, does that give you more room? Like, I'm confused on that. You will have an annual net buy limit of 30,000 if you live in one of the following provinces. And then it lists out all the provinces. Net buy limits will not impact you if you live in these other provinces, and then it lists out the 4 others, which are Alberta, British Columbia, Manitoba, and Quebec. So I thought this is like a perfect example of what I was talking about a couple videos ago when we were discussing Tornado Cash, and that's that governments, like, they truly aren't in tune with what is happening in the crypto space. My personal view on regulation and how I personally think about it is, I think regulation is okay. I think regulation is needed. You're not going to be able to get big market participants if they have to worry about regulation. They're going to stay away from it until regulation sorts itself out. Then they might dip their toes in. So I think regulation itself is okay. And I think you do have to have some regulation. There's things like rug pulls, which should be illegal. There should be parameters set for disclosing, some of the projects' liquidity levels and what they're invested in and stuff like that. I mean, when we look at Luna and all these other projects that went belly up, that were massive and lost people tons of money, if there was more transparency required by law to them, maybe we could have avoided that. So I think there's different avenues that regulation is good in. Now, what I don't like, and this is what I think we're seeing, is regulation from people who do not understand it. I think that is very dangerous to the space. It's not anything new, okay? When the internet was first started, regulators didn't understand it. So their response is almost to, like, ban everything, put everyone in bubble wrap because we don't understand this thing. And then later we might undo some of that regulation once we understand it better. And it seems like they're taking that similar approach to crypto. Now, the issue there is that you can really hinder innovation in the space, okay? And in the case of Tornado Cash, we talked about that project. There was a lot of ways that, illegal money was run through that, and it was used for illegal activity like laundering and stuff like that. So we're not denying that. But what if rather than just banning Tornado Cash outright, what if we found a way to surgically go in and prevent the laundering aspect while also allowing people to use it for the good causes like donating to Ukraine and stuff like that? What if we went about it surgically? And that's the problem, is that the government doesn't understand, or regulators don't understand crypto well enough to go about it surgically. So they're coming at it with a hammer rather than a scalpel. And I think that that is the problem, and that's what makes me nervous about crypto regulation. Now, a lot of people will talk about crypto regulation like it's something new, okay? Ever since I've been started in the crypto space, and ever since crypto was ever around, regulation has always been a concern. It's always been something that's been brought up. Previous cycles, it was always brought up. This cycle, it's been brought up. Now, I will say, it seems like now they're starting to get more active on it, and I think that's just naturally because the market is a lot bigger, okay? If you go back to, 2015, the crypto market was really small. The government, I think, just thought about it as it's tiny. It's not a really big deal. We're not going to even worry about it right now. We'll get to it later. Well, now we've surpassed the true $2 trillion mark at the peak of the cycle. So we're hitting a point where this is an unignorable market now, and we're seeing crypto everywhere. So naturally, regulators are going to have to start stepping their foot into the space, or at least that's the way they feel, is that this market is getting so big now that they have to do something. And they hear about all these bad things happening, like Luna. They hear about the rug pulls, the NFT projects that are scamming people and stuff like that, and they feel the need to do something. And I don't think they're wrong for that, okay? And I think it's very easy, if you're in and big in the crypto space, to look at regulators like the bad guy. Like, these people are the bad guy. Not that there aren't bad guys on that side. I'm not denying that. But I think in general, if you put yourself in those shoes, you're a regulator, right? You count on people's votes. And a lot of people are complaining to you that, you see all these people losing money with Luna. You see all these people losing money in all these projects. You feel the need to do something for your voters, for whatever it may be. You feel obligated to do something. That's how I feel like these regulators feel. And rather than going about it in a way to where they truly understand it, they're coming at it with a sledgehammer because they don't understand it, but they feel the need to act right now. And I think, to me, that is what's dangerous. And it comes out in their regulation. I'm not just speculating that this is the way they're approaching it. I really think that when you look at this Canada law, right? Why are Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash on that list? This is no knock against Litecoin or Bitcoin Cash, but the fact of the matter is they are not prominent projects within the space. Maybe in 2017, 2016, right? They were big then, but they're not big anymore. And you would have lost more on those two projects if you'd invested in them since the peaks than a lot of the other turd coins out there, really. They've come way down in value. So I don't understand the reasoning behind including those two. Again, it feels like either A, they have advisors that don't truly understand crypto, and so they're just stuck in the past on I don't understand that, or B, they just don't understand in general, and they're just going through market cap order. Which even then, though, Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash, they're up there, but they're not in the top 4. It's not like they're going down the list of top 4 cryptos. So it's very interesting to me, and stuff like this goes to show just how out of touch they are. But again, they feel the need to act, and that's the problem, is that they feel obligated without knowing. Another way I think that this comes out is in the stablecoin world. So with stablecoins, and this particularly goes to the United States, I feel like the United States is in a very unique position with stablecoins because most stablecoins are pegged to the dollar. The most popular ones are pegged to the dollar. So USDT and USDC, DAI, these are all quote-unquote dollar equivalents, or they aim to be dollar equivalents, right? You as the U.S. government could leverage this to your favor, heavily, right? You're giving the world, people who maybe didn't traditionally have access to dollars, or there was dollar shortages in some cases, right? We've seen that. When you go to Argentina and they're dealing with hyperinflation, dollars become a very popular currency for those people to want to have in those situations. They want to get a hold of the dollar. They want to trade their native currency for the dollar. And you see this across the world in countries where hyperinflation is a big deal. Yes, the euro is in that too sometimes. But what happens is they can't get access to it because their banks don't have any more dollars, because either the wealthy people suck up all the dollars available at the banks, or just there's shortages in liquidity in some sort of way. Well, this crypto, the USDC, USDT, give those people access to dollars without needing to go through the bank or worry about liquidity, right? They can use their native currency, they can buy Bitcoin or whatever it is, and then swap it into a stable coin, or they could just buy the stable coin straight up if they're on Coinbase or Binance or something like that. So this is a very, very unique thing that we have never had before. And what this does is it solidifies, whether you're the United States and you're looking at the dollar, it solidifies your position as the dominant currency, right? If you can control the stable coins, you now have a way to tap into the entire world economy like never before, right? Like, yes, dollars have been prominent. Yes, dollars have been something that is sought after in these countries where hyperinflation is real. But now it's become that much more accessible and realistic for these people to hold. When you go to places like Africa, that's another example of where this is a big, big deal. So, and again, if you can control the stablecoin, you now can basically create monetary policy for the world, okay? And for all these emerging markets or these ones dealing with hyperinflation, you now have a way to do that. And to me, this is like a massive opportunity for the U.S. And honestly, the EU with the euro, or Britain with the pound, they could do the same thing. Now, obviously, the dollar and USDC and these other stable coins, that's predominantly what they're denominated in. So I think the U.S. is in the best position to take hold of this, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they're trying to do with Circle and USDC. As we know, Circle and USDC have been working very, very closely with the government, so I feel like they're trying to use and leverage this to release a central bank digital currency, so a way for the dollar to be digital is they're going to work with Circle on this. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're already doing this. But regulation could hinder that, right? If Congress comes out and passes some ridiculous law that prohibits all stablecoins, or really harms the development of stablecoins, I think that's only shooting the U.S. in the foot, right? I think that, again, looking at it totally from the government's perspective, because that's the best way, I think, to approach these things, is to put yourselves in those people's shoes so you can kind of understand where they're coming from. If I'm a U.S. government regulator, I see this as an opportunity to make the dollar more dominant than it already is. And so, again, there's a lot of angles that I think could be taken in regulation. Now, whether that goes, an entirely different argument is the ethos of crypto and keeping that ethos, right? So crypto has always been about self-sovereignty, the ability for you to totally control your money, and nobody can take that away from you, not even the government. I think the closer you get to the government dominating, stable coins and things like that, the more invaded in the space they become, the less we are able to maintain that ethos. And we kind of see that with the Tornado Cash deal, right? So, OFAC puts a ban on Tornado Cash. And what happens right after that, a lot of the projects that we thought were decentralized, that we would be able to have self-custodied money in, really, it's not as self-custodied as we thought. We saw that with Aave, right? So as soon as the Tornado Cash ban came out by the U.S. and OFAC listed a bunch of wallets associated with Tornado Cash, those same wallets were then banned on Aave's front end. So those people couldn't access Aave's front end. We saw this with lots of people, because there was individuals going through and just spamming people with 0.1 ETH Tornado Cash ETH to wallets. So people like Justin Sun, who's the owner of the Tron network, he was banned from Aave for receiving one of these 0.1 ETH transactions when he really himself didn't even interact with Tornado Cash. He was just sent some money from Tornado Cash. He couldn't interact with Aave, which, remember, on the Ethereum network, you can't stop transactions coming to your wallet, right? Like, anyone can send you anything at any time. So, it's really silly when we look at it that way. And I think this has been a big wake-up call to us that we're not as decentralized as we might portray things. And realistically, I don't think that we can be as decentralized as many people hope. Like the idea that we're going to be able to do whatever we want economically without any government input, I mean, that's going to be really, really tough to achieve. And I think there's a balance there, right? I do think you need some regulation, but over-regulation is bad also. So, and this goes with anything. Like, again, going to the internet's case, this was something very similar in the time of the internet when it was emerging. Social media, like all these things, they go through this period of like over-regulation, and then they have to like tone it down a little bit, and then they start getting more surgical in the regulation. Unfortunately, again, this is at the cost of innovation, because a lot of times it can hinder that innovation in the early days, and then like it kind of creates this like weird dynamic later on. So again, the regulatory piece is so tough, and it really just comes down to your experience. It just is. I really see both sides of the argument here, and I'm not a regulatory expert. I don't know exactly what needs to be done. I know there's some things that maybe I would advocate for. Again, transparency from teams, things like that. But how you approach this, I really think it just comes down to knowledge. And I think that regulators really need to take the time to understand crypto. They really need to understand the mission of crypto. They need to understand projects, how pools work, how all these different things work, because right now they don't. And so the regulation comes out very broken, right? Like the Tornado Cash ban is very broken because it's like, okay, they technically just banned open source code. And it's like, so is all privacy stuff like that banned, or is it just Tornado Cash? Like, it's very confusing. Like, how does this, do similar projects need to shut down that are similar to Tornado Cash? Like, I know you can assume certain things, like, oh yeah, it's pretty obvious, like, they banned Tornado Cash. If you're running one of these projects, you probably shut it down. But at the same time, it's like, it's not very clear. Like, they don't make this very clear in the regulation. And again, I think that comes down to them not understanding it. And really, that's the biggest thing here, is that regulators really just do not understand crypto. So again, a very unique situation we find ourselves in, and I want to have a discussion with you guys about it to kind of break it down, because I feel like, there's a lot of doom posting on Twitter and different outlets where it's like, regulation's going to kill crypto, and crypto's never going to exist after regulation. They're going to totally ruin it. I don't think that regulators are going to ruin crypto, okay? And it's not going to shut crypto down. It's not like there's going to be an all-out ban on crypto, and, that's going to be it. I really just don't see that as being a realistic outcome. And again, these doomsday posts have always been around ever since I've started into crypto. So it's not like this is anything new on that front. And I just wanted to give you guys a more down-to-earth approach to things. I wouldn't worry about that piece of it as much as I would just make sure that you're just playing it a little bit on the safer side with the projects you interact with, okay? Like, if you feel like something you're doing might be illegal, like if you went and, are running money through Tornado Cash for non-good reasons, maybe it's just a better idea to not involve yourself with Tornado Cash or Tornado Cash-like projects, or, there's Monero, there's all these other privacy type stuff. And while I do think that privacy is super important, and I think they should be allowed, right, in some cases, like I think that Monero and Tornado Cash do serve some good purposes, at the same time, I'm not going to go poking the bear and shoving all my money through these projects when the government is clearly focusing on them, right? So there's a balance there too, guys. Like, it's survival in that sense. Like, whether or not you like the project or think it should be around, you have to go and realize that these are probably projects that are going to be targeted by the government. So it might be best not to interact with them for the time being. Or if you have a lot of wallets that have interacted with them, maybe move your funds to a clean wallet that has not. Just to play it safe, guys. Because, again, right now they're navigating the space with a hammer, and that stinks. But they're not going to go and shut down good projects that are doing things right. They're really just trying to approach the ones that they feel as problem childs. And the biggest thing with Tornado Cash was North Korea, and the whole thing is kind of silly in my opinion. But, again, it wasn't like Tornado Cash wasn't an obvious target. We kind of knew that the government was already going to be looking at Tornado Cash. We knew there was a lot of illicit activity on Tornado Cash. So again, just steering clear of those projects, whether you're in support of them or not, I think is going to be important. through really the next 24 months. I think we're going to see a lot of breakthrough regulation in the next 24 months. And so just playing a little safe on that end, I think, is going to be very important. So I do think, though, we do need some clarity on the regulatory space because, again, it's causing a lot of problems with companies who want to get involved in crypto that can't because they just don't know where it's safe. And then you have companies like Coinbase that are like, we're an exchange, we're trying to list tokens, and you guys can't give us an explanation on which are securities and which are not. We're doing what we think is the right approach, and they're analyzing different tokens to determine whether they're securities or not. But we don't really have a clear outline of which ones are and which ones aren't, and the SEC keeps going back and forth on which ones are, they're trying to call. They come out and they say Ethereum is a commodity, and then they go, oh, well, maybe it's a security, and then, oh, no, it's a commodity again, and now it's a security again, and it's so tough. And what makes it even harder is that we've got stuff that is switching, right? So Ethereum is going from proof of work to proof of stake. In legal terms, that's a big change. So I mean, there's just it's moving so fast, and regulation is so behind the ball, and it's creating a very big mess in that front. And where this is different than the outbreak of the internet is that we're dealing with like money investment type stuff. So that's where it's different. In the days of internet, when that was coming out, you're purely just a user. You weren't buying necessarily, unless you own the stock, you weren't buying the token of Google or whatever. It was, so there was the stock was listed, SEC controlled it, that was obvious. Now we're in this like wishy-washy state of where we have an entirely new asset class, which involves more regulators. And so I think that's where you got this is a big old hot ball of regulatory mess just because nobody knows who does what here. Truth be told, I think we need an entirely new regulator for crypto, and I think it should be crypto people who understand the space. So again, guys, this was a long video, I know. I just wanted to have this discussion with you guys. If you liked it, let me know down below, because again, I'm experimenting with this. If you guys don't like the long form discussionary stuff, I'll try to avoid it in the future. I just thought I'd give it a shot. If we do like it, I might start doing some live streams, and maybe doing them once every week or two, or as big stuff comes up that I think involves bigger discussions. So again, guys, if you like this, please let me know. If this is your first time to the channel, please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.